Hi, Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com here. Just a little tight. Okay, here with Paul Muller from HPE
Hey,
and John Jeremiah from HPE. Guys, welcome.
thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
So, Paul, you were on stage this morning with Gene Kim early in the morning,
Yeah,
kicking things off here.
thank you.
And for our audience who may not be familiar, what's your role with HPE?
So I have a number of roles. I guess the relevance to the DevOps piece is that I've been working in the DevOps community now going on sort of 5 or 6 years, really just helping, I guess, evangelize this new way of thinking about delivering digital solutions, software and services, and helping, frankly, enterprises start to think like some of these unicorns. So a lot of what Gene's passions are around helping the horses be unicorns is something that we've had in common for many years now.
Great. And John, why don't you tell our audience a little bit?
No, Alan, so I'm here because I'm part of our digital research team. And as a part of my role, I'm also doing evangelism like Paul is. And we're looking at the trends of people adopting DevOps and transforming the way they deliver software. You know, we see it in the industry, and we're doing it ourselves, where we're accelerating our delivery. We're really adopting DevOps, and we're using it internally.
You know, and that's a very common theme. So I get to be a bit more of an observer, perhaps, and like Gene. Gene calls himself a researcher. And I see common themes. One of the themes I see in technology companies, or all technology companies, but companies that sell technology for a living, like an HP or a Microsoft or an IBM or, name any of them, is so many of them who are getting the DevOps thing are doing it because first they had their own DevOps transformation.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's also a key piece of why DevOps Enterprise Summit
Yeah, exactly.
is the success that it is.
Yeah,
right?
I think there is definitely, look, every business is a software business now. And I think you can't be in the high-tech business as we are and talk about these practices without being able to walk a mile in the shoes of the people you're talking to. And so it's been really important for us to do, I guess, three things simultaneously. Number one is to transform the way our own core IT runs, because that's obviously supports a lot of the business. Second is to transform the way we build our products, because of course, we sell software in our case as our business. And so it's important to apply those principles to how we build the products that our customers see. And then the last is sharing those practices from both groups with the outside world, because if there's one takeaway I've had from the last 5 years is the more you share out, you give to receive. If you share with people, we actually learn a huge amount coming back as well. That not only helps us run our business better, but helps us build better products and services. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it's a multi-way
Absolutely.
multi-speed. John, in your role, outside of DevOps Enterprise Summit here, what are you seeing similar to Paul's experience?
No, it is similar to what Paul's doing. And some of the research we've done, we were seeing people that they're early in the journey. A lot of companies are really early in the journey. They're experimenting with DevOps. They're exploring DevOps. It's true here at the conference. It's true at DevOps days. I see this, and I see it in the research we're doing. But the other thing we're seeing is that the organizations that are doing it, they're getting higher velocity. They're getting better quality. They're not sacrificing quality for velocity.
No, right. It's almost counterintuitive in that
It
you
is.
get speed, quality, and better security.
Yeah.
Wait a second, you're going to go faster and make me more secure? Yeah, it doesn't sound right.
Correct. Because we associate change with failure or potential failure, right? Risk.
So we're seeing that. It's true in a lot of different places. The other thing I'm seeing is, and we were just talking about this earlier, is there's a shift from thinking about doing DevOps on a project to doing DevOps as a product or as a service.
Yeah.
Where your governance model is different. You're managing and owning it long haul. It's not just a short-time project mindset, but the mindset is shifting as well in a lot of organizations.
That's too important to throw away. I think John's touched on a really important point there. The shift from, I like to say it's product, not projects. And you've got to retrain your people to think like product managers. So the one thing I think we as a vendor community can teach enterprise customers is what it means to be a product manager. If you ship a new product, you don't just ship the product, you've then got to support it, maintain it, make sure it's competitive. So you need to be thinking about how do you stay ahead. You don't just ship it and hand it to the operational people. You own that thing through to its next iteration and version until it's no longer commercially viable. You don't put it into support then, you kill it. Right? a lot of our clients, enterprise clients, I still tend to think waterfall, right? It's like this project has a beginning, a middle, and an end, like a story,
Yes.
and then we put it into operate mode. That's not
And
how
then it
a digital
operates
business
forever.
works.
Right.
Which
it doesn't.
basically means it's in support all the time, right? So, and it's always being updated. So I think we've got a real mindset problem.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to note that a few of the speakers here shared that. You did some research on this topic too, right?
I've done some research on it. I even wrote a guest piece on DevOps.com.
Yes, you did. I remember.
That said there's a shift in governance from
It really is.
project to product. And it's going to be a cultural change. A lot of organizations, I think, are going to struggle as they make that shift. But they have to get through it because that's the way to speed.
I mean, you used to run a business, right? I mean, a high-tech business. So you know what it's like to be a
Several.
product manager,
Yeah,
right?
and it is.
And I don't think people are thinking like that. It's under communicated in the DevOps world.
Yeah, I mean, we went from release to release, and that's how we lived, right? Oh, well, that'll be the next release, the next yearly release thing. Another thing, though, that you both touched on that I want to bring home back to the DevOps Enterprise Summit idea, and that is, this event, this conference, whether it be here or the one in San Francisco, reminds us, what companies are doing with DevOps. We heard a great HPE, your own internal story. We hear stories from, Barclays Bank and Lloyd's Bank and some of the other Lego and some of the other companies we've interviewed here today. It's important to remember that it is still new, right? We tend to live, Paul, you're a technologist and have been a long time, right? DevOps is sort of old hat for you.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a segment of people I speak to, you want to call them early adopters, who are like, what's next?
Yep.
What happens after DevOps? What's post DevOps? That's great that we're thinking about that, and we should be, but we need to remember that there's a lot of horses, as we call them here, who aren't ready for post DevOps yet. They're still, they're still in the barn, just coming out of the barn. Yeah. And that's a big part of this show.
I'll challenge that a little, though. I think I agree with what you're saying in principle. I think we need to be careful, though, that the post-DevOps world is, to me at least anyway, really about hyper-extending it. As I spoke about this morning, is we went from Agile to Ops and created DevOps. Then we thought, well, heck, we can't leave security out because they are the next step down the chain that can say no and force the project to go dark again. So we need to get them on board. And then let's face it, if you've just built a great new digital product or you're shipping new product every day, who's training the users of that product? Who's making sure they're buying it and consuming it?
Sure.
Well, you've got a product and management and a product structure and, frankly, a discoverability and usability function. So that needs marketing and designers involved. And before too long, you've got HR, you've got compliance. I think the future of DevOps, frankly, and what we need to be teaching the horses is don't take DevOps literally. It's not Dev plus Ops. It's about everything.
Don't make DevOps a project.
Make it about everything needed to ship innovation that people use. Right? Let's go back to Eli Goldratt. Right? The goal is to turn cash into more cash.
Right.
If you're not doing that, you're not winning.
Then you're not winning.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
Excellent
interesting.
point.
What we've seen as we've adopted DevOps on some of our product delivery, it's driving a more agile and lean approach to marketing, to sales. Our whole business is having to transform to go faster because our product delivery is going faster because they've adopted DevOps principles and they've started to lean out and they're moving so fast.
Yeah.
This is a problem. It's a good problem to have, but it's driving
a problem
business.
Nevertheless, right?
It is a problem, but it drives a business transformation, which is healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the point is you remove a constraint, it simply moves somewhere else. It doesn't disappear. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. I mean, and Paul, I think it's also a great kind of focus on your role at HP, right? Where you're not a CTO per se running a product team, right? I get a lot of people who come in here that we interview, or a lot of people who write on DevOps.com. Yeah. They're the CTO, and they tend to think about how are we pushing our next release faster? How is my ops team supporting what these devs have run? But if you're not thinking from a sales, from a marketing, from a business, dollars and cents point of view, you're missing it. You're missing a critical piece of the puzzle here.
I think you touched on a really important point. DevOps is a multidisciplinary practice, And I look forward to the future of this DevOps Enterprise Summit. I can't wait to see the next one where we've got marketing here, we've got sales here, we've got HR, we've got business leaders here, because every business is a software business now. If you're making cars, if you're running a dry cleaner, it doesn't really matter. You're in the software game. And I think we've got a lot to contribute to the business world beyond the CTO.
Beyond the CTO and beyond the product team. You're 100% correct. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, by the way, to HPE for sponsoring DevOps Enterprise Summit this year here in London. And we'll check back in with you, I guess, in November. Is just a few months away, right? In San Francisco. Yes, it is. Okay.
It'll be warmer.
Yes, it will be.
It could hardly be colder, let's be honest.
And you know what they call the weather here? What we call the weather here? We call it winter.
Yeah. Well, no, but this is their summer. To be fair, this is my third trip to London this month. The weather's been nicer. This was not a good week, I guess. But anyway, thank you very much for attending DevOps Enterprise Summit. Paul, John, we hope to see you again soon on DevOps.com. Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com.